Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video, we will be talking about that storm system that I made a video about yesterday. It's still looking like it will form, still looking like there will be a large storm system, so the main message stays the same. There will be a few updates to it though, and that's why I'm making the video on it, just to show you how the models have changed, what the European, Canadian, and GFS show, and how the storm system obviously will impact you and your area. So before we do get into that, if you guys would like to support this channel, you can do so by subscribing. Obviously don't subscribe just because I told you so. Check out the channel, see if you like it, and if you do, also giving a thumbs up, hitting that thumbs up button helps out a lot. Takes the video to other people that may like it, so that's brilliant. And if you could leave a comment or concern down below, whatever you want, I answer as many as I can. Usually I get to a majority of them, so feel free to do so. All right, let's start talking about this weather. So first off, let's start looking at the European model. So I want to show you this one. Again, if you're into the weather community, you would know that this is usually regarded as the best model, most accurate. It doesn't go out as far as the GFS, but it goes out far enough to where it's used in medium to long range forecasting, mainly short to medium, and that's where it performs with its consistency and accuracy. So notice as we put this forward, we see a lot of showers across the south, not ahead of the tropical storm. Fred, it's now a depression. It will develop into tropical storm. It moves on and makes a landfall sometime around Tuesday and into Wednesday. Mainly, I would say Tuesday though. And once it does, you can see it kind of dissipates pretty quickly. Some remaining moisture and precip is around the southeast and moves up to the northeast. But the storm system that I'm talking about is this right here. We have a low pressure that kind of shoots out ahead of it this Tuesday, again when Fred is making landfall across into Manitoba and Ontario. But look what happens right here. We have a little piece of energy that is diving through the mountains. There will be some snow in the higher elevation area, so again, yeah, you know the seasons are changing. And as he pushes forward, notice what happens. Look, we start seeing precipitation develop all across the southern Canadian prairies. We have a low pressure, we have decent winds on the north side of this, and pretty strong winds on the south side of this system. And we start seeing a defined, according to the Euro, a defined area of circulation. And notice that as he pushes forward into Thursday, we have bouts of showers and storms. Storms are really meaning thunderstorm clusters kind of shooting out from this, but it hasn't developed yet fully. Notice as we put this forward, the low pressure gets out onto the plains. It starts taking on larger and more ominous characteristics. Look, by Thursday into Wednesday, we see large batches of rain, heavy rain showers move out into North Dakota, South Dakota. I mean, this could be like a several statewide rain system, not just one or two clusters that are hit or miss. And look, as this progresses into Canada, it develops into quite a bit of a windstorm. There could be definitely a lot of wind from this, and notice that wind could be extending all into Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, obviously the Dakotas, and into Canada. And look how classically shaped that system is. I mean, that is impressive, and definitely obviously intensifying 987. We have a cold front, definitely some severe weather associated with this as it drags on towards the east and south. And here we have the warm front, and here we have, if this were to be during the winter time, we would have the blizzard side of the system right here. But again, that's just mainly light to moderate rain because it's late August when this is going on, or mid to late August. So yeah, definitely a unusual storm for fall, I would say. Definitely very, very well developed. And you can see that the European does eventually weaken this as the cold front slides into the eastern the western Great Lakes, and you can see right there it kind of pivots away into Canada. Definitely though keeping its intensity for at least a good while. Maybe though you can see the rain weakening, and the cold front finally drags all the tropical moisture kind of out of the area. But notice that there is more activity that follows that, and it's really just going to be more stubborn to leave. But yeah, definitely that's the biggest story. And look, I mean, South Dakota, North Dakota could pick up a decent amount of rain from this. I mean, that's to say the least. Into Manitoba, southern Canada, that could curb a lot of the dry areas and give them much needed rain, pretty much statewide again. Good doses of precipitation. Now let's take a look at the total accumulated precip, right? And notice that if we were to take a glance at this, obviously the southeast will be seeing a lot from the tropical storm and the tropics and whatnot, and just daily showers. But look across here into North Dakota, South Dakota, decent rains. Anywhere in that purple, that's above, according to this, an inch. And anywhere in that red, that's above 2 inches, and in that yellow, that's above 3, almost 4. No, that's 4 inches. So yeah, that's a rather incredible amount of rain if that were to occur. Notice Wyoming picks up decent rains up to half an inch, an inch. Montana, decent rains. Colorado, Utah, Nebraska, Minnesota, Wisconsin. Not so much maybe Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, southern Wisconsin, though again, it depends on how that cold front behaves. If it's stronger once it pushes through here. And you can see a lot of precipitation, obviously, from the tropics, and a bit from that system, and how that cold front, it drops, could affect, a bit more increased shower activity, kind of wringing out the sponge, if you will, to the atmosphere. Let's take a look at the GFS now, and let's go back to the precipitation type and rate, and let's see what it shows. So notice as we push this forward, what we see is, again, those little shower storms kind of ejecting, but we do see a bit less of a consolidated storm from the GFS. Notice there is obviously activity across the northern plains and really a lot of the Great Lakes region, but there isn't as defined of a low pressure. There is definitely, you can see a cold front, right? A bit of that shape of that storm, that warm front, that kind of comma shape of precipitation. Again, if this were a winter storm, it would be a rather perfect storm, kind of with that blizzard, but notice that it does weaken. It does bring a bit of snow into northern Manitoba, Saskatchewan, so that'll be interesting to see what it does there. But yeah, notice it doesn't do much. Look what the GFS though puts out in the tropics. It puts out, that's I think what would become tropical storm and eventually Hurricane Grace, the G name, and yeah, you can see it slides it through Texas. So that's something we'll have to watch for. But notice that the pattern does stay active after that system passes through right into the northeast. The cold front stays strong, and we do see several more chances of precipitation and rainfall, and definitely maybe not as big of a widespread system as what the Europeans showed, or maybe as big as the GFS showed for the first one, but still nonetheless an active pattern. You can see just zooming from the northwest to the southeast. And look, the 540 line reappearing a bit more frequently, to say the least, and again, that's to be expected. Now, let's take a look at that total accumulated precipitation, and let me show you how much precipitation is expected from the GFS. So I showed you the European, again, GFS, very similar, southeast wet. Notice it doesn't put out as much rain for the northern plains, more into Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas. There is definitely some, and again, I think this is a bit underplayed, to say the least. I would again favor the European, as it has been way more consistent with the storm for the past 3 to 4 days as I've been watching it develop, rather than the GFS. But notice, yeah, decent rains for really a good chunk of the country. Obviously, where the tropical storm hurricanes would pass through, that's obviously would exaggerate the amounts. Not saying they're exaggerated, but that would be appropriate if it were to occur, but that's a big question, will it? And notice that it does keep things active, and generally what's staying dry is just the northwest, unfortunately, the west, and into portions of the upper plains, according to this GFS model. But they're definitely going to get some, just not as much. But look at the rest of the country. I mean, that is a decent amount, and even the southwest seeing decent amounts. Now let's take a look at the GDPS, right? So this is the Canadian model, a very good model as well. And notice that what it does is show tropical storm Fred making landfall, and then it shows that little wave of energy producing some snow across the British Columbia Mountains into Alberta, Canada area. I don't really know what they're called, their official name, so that's what I just call them by. And notice that the Canadian doesn't develop as of a strong system as the European as well. It does develop something, and you can see there's showers and storms, but it's rather weak and rather disorganized compared to even a GFS. But yeah, there's definitely storms and showers and activity, but it's just a bit more loosely put together and a bit more disorganized. But yeah, definitely some differences for sure. Notice we have the hurricane that the GFS showed into Texas. The Canadian shows going up towards the southeast into Florida, Mississippi, Alabama. So that's something to watch for. It takes on a different track, but again, it does agree with the GFS that there will be something there. And notice that it tracks up pretty far to the north with that precipitation. And it could get picked up by a low pressure if this one, say, does develop. And yeah, again, just based on, you can see the track of that hurricane down below, how these models are in disagreement on pretty much everything, but that's usually how it is. It's rare for them to agree. This was last night, the Canadian model. I noticed that it did have more of a developed low pressure system, right? It was definitely more of what the European shows, but yeah, it quickly kind of jumped away from that in today's model run. So that's why I'm saying that the Canadian is a bit less consistent with that, and that's why I'm not fully trusting it. The European, if you were to look from yesterday's model run, it was way more consistent, right? It showed that system just a bit further towards the south, right there across the upper Midwest and into southern Canada. So again, you can see that the placement of this is still unknown, but the European is definitely more consistent with it. It does show that system forming pretty much every single model run, while the GFS and and the Canadian are jumping around quite a bit, not really consistent. So they're not really confident in their own forecasting. So it's hard to be confident in their model skills. And you can see again, even 2 days ago, the European showed a very similar layout, and I showed you that model run yesterday. And this is today's model run, and you can see, boom, right there, a continued strong system. So we'll have to wait and see. Again, a lot of things to kind of see. Obviously, the severe weather will be an issue, even though it doesn't look like, it could be. Yeah, right there, definitely some severe weather out ahead of that. And even with that cold front, it's a powerful storm. It could definitely produce a decent amount of severe weather, to say the least, and something definitely to watch for. Now, Climate Prediction Center, 6 to 10 day outlook when this system could be occurring. Notice it does show a bit chillier temperatures with that big system. If it were to occur, it would cool things off out behind it. Ahead of it, it will be very warm from that warm front. That's why it's warmer. And let's go back to that 6 to 10 day outlook and check out the precip. Notice it's favoring above average across the eastern half of the country, even into the northern plains. Again, if that precipitation were to occur, that obviously would bring things above average from that big system. Here's 8 to 14 day outlook. Notice it's a bit more widespread with that warm air. Not really confident though, and they do have above average across the kind of the Minnesota North Woods area, the southeast, but drier towards the north and west. And that's going to be the story. Again, this is a bit, far-fetched. These outlooks are not too accurate, but especially the precip, it's a bit hard to read them, and they're usually less than accurate, to say the least. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. I do want to show you quickly the North American continent, just show you how things are progressing in a winter scheme of things. So notice this is what we look like right now, right? The rain all the way up into pretty much central Nunavut, right? There isn't that much snow yet. Obviously, it is across the actual Arctic Circle, but as we push this forward into hour 100, right, hour 210, it does start dipping further and further to the south, that 540 line. You can see starting to reach Hudson Bay, even James Bay. And, we will continue to see this as we get into August, September, late September, October. And then November, we'll definitely be seeing snowstorms already across the United States. So yeah, truly just from where I am at this point, August 30th, give it another month. There's been snowstorms in the years past. I think September 30th, there was one 2 years ago across the plains of the North Dakota, South Dakota. It was a massive system. Definitely I would say from August 14th now, maybe another month and a half before we potentially see our first snowstorm, maybe 2. And within 3, for sure. Just where, that's obviously kind of a shot in the dark. All right, so thank you guys so much for watching. Again, this storm system will be large. You could see it from the GFS perspective. Even though the GFS doesn't develop it as well as the European, still a mighty system, right? And it obviously will be very large. Notice that it does bring snow into Greenland eventually once it goes to the north. But yeah, active pattern following that as well. Look how many low pressures there are pretty much at all times, just spinning around. So yeah, definitely impressive, to say the least. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you all on the next episode. See ya.